Middle-earth, home to many diverse races, from wizards to hobbits, goblins to dwarves, orcs to elves. Many stories have been created and developed in the world of Tolkien. To delve into the world, you can start here with DagoraC TV.
Minas Tirith was situated on the Hill of the Guard, the outthrust tree, of Mount Mindolin, connected by the main mass of the mountain by a narrow shoulder. It faced eastward towards Osgiliath, over the Pelennor fields surrounding the city, fertile townland stretching from the walls of the city to the proper Ramsakor. The city was built on the hill with the 7 concentric tiers cut out of the hill, culminating in the citadel at the summit. The outer wall was called the City Wall and was black, of the same material used in Orthanc. The city wall was vulnerable only to earthquakes, capable of rending the ground where it stood. Each of the 7 levels stood 100 feet higher than the one below it, and was surrounded by a white wall. Each wall held a gate, and each gate faced a different direction. Only the Great Gate and that of the 7th level faced east. The gate to the 2nd level faced southeast, and that to the 3rd faced northeast, so altering between the two such that the path through the levels would wound to and fro rather than following a straight line. An outcropping of rock as high as the 7th level bisected all the lower levels except the lowest of the line of the Great Gate. The winding path through the city is therefore passed through the tunnels in this keel 5 times. The 1st level included the Raith Keller Drain, a white paved street with an inn, the old guest house. The 6th level contained stables for riders, and the houses of the healing. There was also a Fenhollen, a door which was almost closed, leading to the Raithdinan. The shoulder of rock that joined hill to the main mass of the Mount Mindolin rose to the level of the 5th wall and was fortified with large ramparts, where the tombs of the kings of Gondor and their stewards lay. The uppermost tunnel was delved into the spur of rock that was jutted out of the eastern face of the hill. The keystone of its archway was carved with the head of a crowned king. Guards of the citadel manned the 7th gate, which faced eastward in a line of the Great Gate 700 feet below, and emerged into the citadel. The city's strongest point surrounded by high walls and battlements on the keel. The citadel housed the Court of the Fountain and the Tower of Echelion, which brought the total height of the city to 1,000 feet. Before the tower grew the white tree in a court. There was also the king's house, lodgings for the stewards, Merethrod, barracks for the guard of the citadel, and other buildings for guests and other workers. The city of Minas Tirith was originally a fortress, Minas Arna, built in 2nd Age 3320 by the faithful Númenóreans. It was the western counterpart to Minas Ithil, Tower of the Moon, guarding the western flank of the city of Osgiliath from the men of the White Mountains, as Ithil guarded its east from Mordor. From Osgiliath, the sons of Elendil jointly ruled the newly found South Kingdom, but Minas Arna was home to Anarian's house, and Minas Ithil to Isildur's. Therefore, when the 7 Palantri was divided amongst the realms, in exile, one was placed in Minas Arna. Sauron attacked Gondor in 2nd Age 3429, attacking Minas Ithil and forcing Isildur to flee north to his father in Arnor. Anarion, meanwhile, was besieged at Osgiliath and Minas Arna for 5 years, until he was relieved by the last alliance of elves and men. In 3rd Age Year 2, Isildur planted the 2nd White Tree of Gondor in Minas Arna, in memory of his brother, who had perished in the siege of Barad-dûr. From this point on, the kingship of Gondor belonged solely to their heirs of Anarion, who continued to rule from Osgiliath. In 3rd Age 420, Minas Arna was rebuilt by Ossithur, the 7th king of Gondor, and from his reign onwards, the kings removed there from Osgiliath in the summer. It remained the 2nd city of Gondor for the next 1,000 years, as the kingdoms reached the height of its power under the Ship Kings, and then fell into its long decline. Osgiliath was burned and its Palantir lost during the King's Strife, and from this point Minas Arna gradually grew more prominent. In 3rd Age 1636, the old capital was devastated by the Great Plague, leaving it depopulated and falling into ruin. Soon after, Tarandor permanently moved the king's house to Minas Tirith. For a short time under Tarandor and his heirs, the decline of Gondor was slowed, although constant wars with various groups of Easterlings took their toll. In Third Age 1900, Kalamitar built the first White Tower in the citadel of Minas Tirith to house the city's palantir. Just over a century later, however, the kingdom was dealt a harsh blow. In Third Age 2002, Minas Ithil, where the Guard of Mordor had long since slacked, was captured by the Nazgûl. It became known as Minas Morgul, and in turn Minas Tirith was renamed Minas Tirith, Tower of the Guard or the Guarded City. Soon the Aenon, the last king of Gondor, who was killed in the Morgul Vale, and the lordship of the South Kingdom passed to the stewards. Following a brief respite in the Watchful Peace, Gondor under the stewards became increasingly beset by enemies. Control of Ithilien and the ruined bridges of Osgiliath passed back and forth between Minas Tirith and Minas Morgul. The coastlands were raided by Corsairs of Umbar, and Easterlings assailed from the north. The citadel was improved under Echelon I, Third Age 2685 to 2698, who rebuilt the White Tower, which afterwards bore its name. But equally, the White Tree died at the same time as the 21st steward, Belecthor II, and this time a new seedling could not be found to replace it. In the reign of Echelon II, Third Age 2953 to Third Age 2984, Minas Tirith was strengthened against Mordor, where Sauron had now declared himself openly. It was at this time that Aragorn, the future king, first came to the city under the name Thorongil, and did great deeds. During the War of the Ring, the brunt of Mordor's assault on the Free People was directed at Gondor and Minas Tirith. Caer Andros fell on the 10th of March, Third Age 3019, and on the 2nd of March, a company led by Faramir was forced to retreat from its defences of Osgiliath. An effort was made to repair the Ramas Angkor, but this came too late. With the crossings of the Anduin taken, the Pelennor was overrun, and Minas Tirith was besieged by a great army of Morgul orcs and Easterlings led by the Witch King of Angmar. The city was undermanned, and its defenders had little hope. On the 15th of March, the Great Gate was breached, and the last ruling steward, Denethor II, burned himself in despair. But Gandalf was also present, and rescuing Faramir from his father, he took charge of the defence of Minas Tirith. The Rohirrim under Theoden also came unlooked for a city's aid, and Aragorn led a force up the river from the Pelagria. Seeing this, Imrahil, Prince of Dol Amroth, led a sally from the city, and the three armies were able to break the siege in the decisive battle of the Pelennor Fields. On the 1st of May, Third Age, 3019, returning with the victorious from the Battle of the Maranon, Aragorn was crowned on the plain outside Minas Tirith, and he entered the city as King Elisar. On the 25th of June, he discovered a sapling in the line of Limloth in a hidden hollow at Mount Mindwilin. This was planted in the Court of the Fountain, the fourth White Tree of Gondor. Under King Elisar, Minas Tirith was rebuilt and restored. The Great Gate was remade in mithril and steel. The streets were repaved with white marble, and gardens and trees were all planted around the city. This labour was aided by the dwarves of the Glittering Caves, led by Gimli, and wood elves brought there by Legolas.